Hey, Battle Bill here with another video, and today we're going to get into some more Great League Go Battle League battles. Your boy is hyped. So you saw the last video, you saw essentially me getting to rank 7, and then I showed you my ELO rating that I hit right after. That ended up being good enough to get me into like the top 250 on the Go Battle League leaderboards. I'll put a little screenshot right below to see exactly where I got. I think it was rank 227, so I'm excited about that. Your boy got a green screen, really a black screen, and we just passed 800 subscribers. So I just want to thank all of you. I really appreciate all support as I continue to do this. I'm loving putting out this content, and honestly I just want to offer you guys the best help that I can, or just the best battles I possibly can. So let's continue with that and let's jump into these battles. Today's video is going to be more Mud Boys. Let me know when you're sick of it. I'm going to keep on doing it until then, but I've already done these battles. These aren't going to be live, so I'm going to be giving you just a play-by-play analysis and just talk you through all my situations. So in this first battle, we got a Skarmory on Umbreon lead, and the way that I always play this out, is I let the Umbreon send 2 foul plays. So that's one that just landed there. I'll go for a Sky Attack. I over-tapped, or I just did another quick move there. I'll go for the Sky Attack. It'll most likely go unshielded. And then he'll be sending another foul play shortly after I sent that Sky Attack. So it might be like 1 or 2 more Snarls from the Umbreon. It's coming in now. It was 2 more Snarls, and I'm not going to shield this either. It's okay for my Skarmory to be in the yellow. It has a decent amount of energy and it has enough health left to handle potential grass types in the back. So I'm going to now swap in Swampert as my safe swap to see if I can lure out that grass type. No grass types coming? Okay. Going for the Hydro Cannon right away. This is not going to take out the Umbreon. Umbreon's super tanky. He'll handle this move, but it's fine because depending on if he decides maybe to shield another one, or depending on how he wants to play this, we can leave this matchup with some extra energy anyway. So he's sending a foul play through here. I'm going to let that go through. It does a decent chunk, but again, Umbreon's tanky. Swampert's a little glassy, so it does like a third. It's solid damage. He's going for another one here. I'm going to shield this one up. We're going to wait for it to come through. There we go. And I'm going to overfarm, which is why I allowed that, because I'm okay with using a shield there, but getting some extra energy, so like when this Umbreon goes down, I can then throw Hydro Cannons at whatever else is in the back. He decides to shield here, and that's even better, because you know what's going to happen? He's going to go for another foul play. That's totally fine, because he only has 1 shield left, and now that Umbreon is in Mud Shot farm range. So depending on how my opponent plays it, I play this little matchup here a little bit differently. I was attempting to lure out a grass type. No grass type came out, so I gotta play it this way. Now I'm all the way loaded up to a Sludge Wave, and now the rest of this match depends on what Pokemon he sends out that's gonna end up eating all this energy from my Swampert. Ends up being a Deoxys. That's great. I'm gonna get to 2 Hydro Cannons here, possibly a third one. Let's see if he decides to shield any of them. First one goes through. That's about a third. I go for the second one right away. And I'm in the yellow, so he really can't counter me down before I get to another Hydro Cannon. So that's why it was so important, and that's why I don't mind swapping in Swampert and even having to use shields in that Umbreon matchup if they decide not to swap out. Because as long as I play it right, Swampert will leave that matchup with a bunch of energy like you just saw here. I just got 3 Hydro Cannons out. Not only did I practically take out a second Pokemon, Deoxys, but I also got his remaining shields. And I fell just barely short of getting that 4th Hydro Cannon off. But now I know Deoxys is loaded on energy, so I send in my Whiscash and not my Skarmory. I kind of figured he would assume my Skarmory was coming back in, so I assumed that he would throw a Thunderbolt like he just did, and Whiscash eats Thunderbolts for breakfast like they're no big deal. Then his last Pokemon's Lucario. This is not a Pokemon I've been seeing a bunch in some Go Battle League play, but it definitely has some solid play, especially once it starts racking up its attack stat with those power-up punches. So this is the best situation for me to find Lucario in, because a Lucario needs shields. You saw how much that Mud Bomb did. I sent in my Skarmory, finished it off. Deoxys comes back in, going for the Sky Attack, and this will win me game number 1 of this set. So we're gonna again go through more matchups as the rest of these battles continue. There are some specific ones, and we're gonna talk about this team's biggest weakness, and you know, I'm a little afraid to expose it. You'll actually see it in the last battle of this set. I'm a little afraid to expose it just because I don't want more people to start using it, but if that happens, I'll adapt like the great PvPer I am, because I don't want to be, I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to be known as the Mudboy man, but I don't want to be known as the person that can only be good with one team. So if I gotta adapt, I most definitely will. So let's get into this next match. It's up against the Blonde F. and we gotta wait for the leads to come out to determine how I'm gonna play out this matchup. Registeel, I like this lead. I hard lose it, automatic swap, go immediately for the Swampert. This match now falls on whatever his swap in is, which is Altaria. So if this was like an Azu, I would have preferred that, because then I could play the bait game, possibly land a Sludge Wave, and then win switch advantage back, and that would literally win me the match. But with Altaria, it's a lot tougher, because Altaria, as you saw, can really tank a Sludge Wave from Swampert. But it can only tank so many of them. So he's going to get to a Sky Attack here. I'm going to actually shield this because I have so much health. Because if I don't shield it, I'll be low and then he'll just farm me up. I'd rather use the shield there. And I'm going to try and bait and go for this Hydro Cannon. So I'm hoping he'll think, you know what, that Sludge Wave did about 40% damage. Maybe I shouldn't let another one through. But he lets another one through and that ends up being the Hydro Cannon. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll go for a second Hydro Cannon. Either I will now get the Altaria's first shield. I think he hasn't used one yet. Or I'll get it in range for Skarmory to easily farm. Honestly, he used that shield, which is cool with me. He's still in farm range, and then we get weird lag. That's what happened here. I forgot that this was the match. We got the weirdest lag as Altaria just stopped, and when you're in the heat of the moment and you're worried about Dragon Breaths taking down your Swampert, it's really hard to just be like, you know what, I'm going to notice this lag immediately and then stop mudshotting. So I did feel bad about that. Honestly, though, there really wasn't much I could do in that situation. He gets the Sky Attack here, and that's going to make a huge difference. Him not having that shield, him having to use it in that situation, because I'm pretty sure he would have Dragon Breathed me down before I got to the Hydro Cannon. It was close. It was a little iffy, but regardless, it's unfortunate that it happened, but it did. And now my Skarmory's in to try and finish off this Altaria. I'll let this Altaria throw as much damage at my Skarmory as it wants because everything's resisted, and I'm going to farm up the Altaria. Now, I'm sitting here, I'm fully expecting the Registeel to come back in. I'm checking that top right corner, waiting to see the steel icon, and then I'm going to go for the immediate swap into Whiscash. Boom, saw it, swapped in. There we go, that's it. This match now all falls on what his last Pokemon is, and his last Pokemon's a Azumarill. So honestly, if that weird little pause and lag, honestly, it didn't even really feel like lag. It almost felt like he got a phone call during it, but regardless of what it was, that minor thing right there is honestly what won me this match, because the core of Registeel, Altaria, and Azumarill is too much for this Double Mudboy team, only because of how badly I lose lead. So if I land matchups better in this 3-on-3 match, Mudboys can definitely beat this team, because Whiscash can take out Registeel, Swampert can take out Azumarill, Skarmory can take out Altaria. But the way this match started, obviously, you saw my Skarmory was on his Registeel. And by me losing lead against that particular team of 3, my team of 3 would end up losing because we'd be fighting an uphill battle the entire time. So that little bit of lag really did win me this match, which I feel bad about, but I did make all the right plays afterwards, and honestly, it was out of my control. So, I see the switch timer's up, I swap into my Skarmory, because honestly, this wasn't a done deal yet, I still had to play this properly, and if I didn't do that swap and take out his Azumarill the way that I did, which is why that shield was so important, if I don't get that shield because of that little lag, then that Azumarill could have the shield there to essentially protect itself from that Sky Attack. But by me taking it out and me throwing whatever chip damage I can at this Registeel now, my Whiscash is going to have enough energy and health to now deal with just the Registeel. If he was able to shield his Azumarill there, swap out, bring in Registeel, Registeel deals with Skarmory, my Whiscash deals with the Registeel, but then he still has Azumarill to finish off my Whiscash, I lose this match. But either way, here we are. His Registeel has the tiniest bit of energy after throwing it at my Skarmory. I have a bunch of energy, at least 2 Mud Bombs worth, and I'm going to go for the second Mud Bomb here, and I am going to take this match. So I'm starting this set 2-0. I know I always give the overview, mostly because I want to find things to keep on saying so that there are no weird, awkward silences in the middle of my clips, as, you know, I'm giving the commentating, but now I feel like I'm getting awkward talking about that. Regardless, let's get into the third match. This third match is a doozy. It's up against Koft. We meet again. Ooh, and he's got the spicy Shadow Victory Bell lead. So, if you've been a fan of this channel for the whole, 2 months it's been around, maybe you saw my FP Sticks tournament overview, I actually took my first loss of that tournament against your boy Koft over here. So right now I want to get some sweet Go Battle League revenge, and we're off to a pretty solid start, kinda ish. I won lead, he brought in Registeel here, and what I said in one of my last videos was that whenever I see Registeel, I want to swap in Whiscash. Does that look like a Whiscash to you? No. I kind of got ahead of myself. I always save swap the Swampert, and that's where it bit me in the butt. I didn't think long enough to be like, oh, Steel Icon top right corner, gotta go Whiscash, not Swampert. So that kind of sets me back a little bit. You might be thinking to yourself, why does that set you back? You'll notice in a second, because Swampert will definitely win this matchup. And it's super important that I keep switch advantage here, because if I don't, the Shadow Victory Bell is going to land on my Whiscash, and that Shadow Victory Bell is just going to completely delete my Whiscash. So I keep switch advantage. That's super important. I'm expecting the Shadow Victory Bell to come back out here, so I'm going to try and toss this Hydro Cannon as quick as I possibly can just to deal any kind of damage to it. There's a Shadow Victory Bell. Going for my Hydro Cannon. Once this goes through, Victory Bell is going to delete my Swampert, and then my Skarmory is going to come in, and then I'm going to expect him to swap again. And you'll see where this match gets a little iffy once he swaps, because he swaps into Azumarill, and that's a big deal for my team. The matchups I always talk through, out of anybody on my team that's an Azumarill counter, I need Swampert to land on Azumarills. And that could have happened if I would have swapped properly and landed my Whiscash on his Registeel. Luckily, what kind of bails me out is I'm assuming he thought since he had a 2 shield to 1 shield advantage, he went for that Hydro Pump and I shielded it. That makes a big deal as this Mud Bomb lands, because now I can continue to spam, and it's going to take him a little bit longer to get to that next Hydro Pump, and my Whiscash still has a bunch of health. What I'm also worried about is I'm checking the top right corner. I'm waiting for him to essentially try and wait out the timer so that he can swap in his Victory Bell and try and delete my Whiscash if I'm not paying close enough attention. He still has a 2 shield to no shield advantage, so this match is far from over. I definitely need to be on edge. I need to be very careful. I want to make sure my Whiscash has some energy, and I want to make sure that I don't land any of these Mud Bombs on his Victory Bell. They need to land on his Azumarill. So I know the switch timer's up. I see that his Azumarill's in the red. He's got 1 shield. He goes for the swap. I swap immediately. I was expecting it. He saved that shield on purpose. It was really smart of him. He saved that shield on purpose, and he saved his Azumarill's energy on purpose, because he knows he could shield the Sky Attack, and he knew how much health my Skarmory had. So he saved the energy specifically so that he could land a Hydro Pump on my Skarmory and essentially try and bubble and Ice Beam my Whiscash. But unfortunately for him, this Hydro Pump that's about to come through, awkward silence, only gets me in the red and doesn't get me low enough to take me out or get me in bubble range. So essentially I get to the Sky Attack here. This is going to take out the remaining health of his Azumarill, and this is going to be GG. It was a solid match. I know I had the advantage. I won lead, but these matches against somebody like Koft, even winning lead doesn't guarantee anything, because that was still super close, and I was super pumped about that win. So when you, like I said, I'm in the top like 250, that 27 range, whatever, for the GBL GBL Battle League. GBL Battle League. Did you guys hear about that? The Go Battle League Battle League? The leaderboards, I'm in that range. So when you're up there, you're facing nothing but the toughest competition, and he's definitely one of them. Alright, let's get into this 4th match. It's up against Daga Monk. We're going to wait for the leads to go out, but again, we always stick to the game plan. So, we see a Seaking lead, and this is definitely one we're not used to. Seaking is definitely some serious spice, but it doesn't really have good matchups against my team. The Poison Jabs are resisted by literally all my Pokemon, and the only charge move it's really going to be able to get to is the Icy Winds. So, he's going for his first charge move here. It's going to be an Icy Wind. My plan is to essentially throw the Sky Attack after this Icy Wind lands, and then swap out to clear the debuff that's now on my Skarmory, and then bring in Swampert to lure out a potential Grass type in the back, because that's always the plan. So, Swampert's coming in. The Seaking is continuing to do some Poison Jabs. I'm waiting for the swap. He brings in a Defense Deoxys, and what this immediately tells me is that his other Pokemon in the back does not counter Mudboy well, because Defense Deoxys is not a counter for Swampert, unfortunately. So all I have to do is make sure I play this right, don't get caught off guard by any Psycho boosts, and just play out the situation with all these Hydro Cannons, and I should be able to win back switch advantage. Not that I really need it, because again, Skarmory on Seaking wasn't exactly a lost lead. I just swapped out to lure out potential Grass types. So my opponent's going for a charge move here. I think I decided not to shield, because even if it was a Psycho boost, it would have hurt, but at the same time would have nerfed his attack, and he still wouldn't have been able to win out this matchup regardless. Either way, I overcharge a little bit. I go for my Hydro Cannon. I after I send this Hydro Cannon, I'll see how he decides he wants to play this one out. He decides to shield again, so what that tells me is I definitely have to shield here. No reason saving 2 shields for no reason, and I know that the counters are not going to do enough damage to take out my Swampert. So I can get to another Hydro Cannon, and now this Defense Deoxys is shieldless, so I'm definitely going to win out the situation. I got to see what he decides to bring back in. I got to figure out what his third Pokemon is, but right now we're looking pretty good. So again, signs like that are really important for you to take account of, and also notice how he brought his Seeking back in to deal with my Swampert, and the Poison Jabs still weren't enough to even take down my Swampert at that little health. That really just kind of screams that his team doesn't have a Mudboy counter, which is going to be very unfortunate for him. So now we're waiting. We see top right corner, Steel and Rock. Ends up being a Bastiodon. Bring in Whiscash. This is GG. So another solid match. I'm going to play out this situation. I'm going to go for these Mud Bombs, but all of this, I'm not even trying to be overconfident here. All of this is just calculated. I have a shield. Bastiodon's doing smackdowns, which are resisted by my Whiscash. The only charge moves it's really going to throw are both Stone Edge and Flamethrower, which are going to be resisted by my Whiscash. And it's going to take him forever to get to those charge moves, and I'm not even shielding here. So when the Stone Edge comes through, you can see how little damage it does. So all I have to do is go for another Mud Bomb. You saw how much the first one did. This second one, considering they're super effective, is going to take out the Bastiodon and win me this match. So 4-0, and we're going to probably get into, I don't want to say the most exciting match of the set. It's the one where I lose, so I hate to spoil it. But not only do we see my team's biggest weakness in this match, I also make like my dumbest mistake. I fall for a trick that I usually pull on other people. So I'm a little, I don't want to say I'm embarrassed showing this, because honestly I want to show all the losses. I've shown losses in the past, and learning from them, super important. But yeah, so this match, it's a big one, and we're going to wait for the game to find the opponent. When you get up to this high rank, you know, sometimes you're sitting in this waiting lobby a little bit longer than usual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward the clip so you guys don't have to wait through the whole thing. And this next match is up against Matzir Pokemon, and I see that rank. I see 2422. I remember the top of the Go Battle League leaderboards when they were announced today, and that was like around, like the highest person like 2460. So I'm like, all right, let's sweat, let's get this match on. They bring in a Ferrothorn, and that's the biggest weakness to this team. Luckily, it's technically a 1 lead. Skarmory can win that in the 2 shield situation, which is why he swapped out. But he brings in Sableye, and here's where I'm going to make my mistake. I bring in Swampert, which is a great counter to it. I'm going to go for all these Hydro Cannons. He decides to shield there, or she decides to shield there. I apologize. I wasn't paying close enough attention. She's going for a charge move here. It's going to be a foul play. Swampert is too glassy to essentially tank a foul play, and then the residual Shadow Claws will definitely take it down. So I got to play this essentially charge move for charge move and match shields. So I'm going for another Hydro Cannon here. She decides to shield that one again. I'm like, okay, this is positive, because now that I have both shields, my Skarmory can have a better matchup with the Ferrothorn, but I need to shield here, and I need to make sure I keep switch advantage. Considering the Sableye just went for a charge move, my silly self thought I had plenty of time to farm up more. My opponent was at another foul play, and I fell for like one of the most rookie mistakes. Like, I know I do that all the time. I always overcharge so that my opponent doesn't know where I'm at energy wise, and you saw I had that Hydro Cannon, and I tried to click it after I did another Mud Shot. So I was like, no, not only was I off to a bad start because I still had to deal with that Ferrothorn in the back, but it got even worse by me screwing that up. Honestly, that sealed the fate of the match. I was still kind of fighting an uphill battle, and I'll explain why Ferrothorn is such a problem in a second. You might be thinking, Ferrothorn's grass and steel, Skarmory's steel and flying. Shouldn't Skarmory beat it? Give me a second. I will get to it. But regardless, we're going to play out this match. I'm going to throw this Mud Bomb here. It's going to take out the Sableye. I overcharged a bunch. And I don't know, also another, I think I got so frazzled by that foul play coming through that I should have built up for the Blizzard. That was also another mistake, because the Blizzard would have at least been neutral like the Mud Bomb, but the Blizzard just a bigger move. And then I swap in my Skarmory here, and I think, does he decide to swap out? Oh, he swaps right on my Sky Attack, and I'm like, oh my god, you're just pulling out move after move here. So I was really just set back. So anyhow, you can watch the rest of the way this plays out. The big mistake there was obviously overcharging on Swampert, and that sealed my fate. But the reason why Ferrothorn is such a big deal and such a problem for my team is not only is it a grass and steel type, and it has that grass typing that it has Power Whip that essentially will one-shot both Swampert and Whiscash, but in Go Battle League, Ferrothorn also runs Thunder, and Thunder will one-shot my Skarmory. So essentially, Ferrothorn has like two prime charge moves that can one-shot each Pokemon, all three of my Pokemon on my team, which is why it's such a big concern to me. The other issue with Ferrothorn is its typing. It's grass and steel typing. It resists. I literally either have charge moves that are resisted, like the Sky Attacks that my Skarmory throws, or the Flash Cannons if I want to throw those would be resisted, or it just takes neutral damage. Like, I don't have a single move in my repertoire out of all three of my Pokemon that will deal super effective damage to this Ferrothorn, because Blizzard and Sludge Wave, which would usually be super effective against grass types, are neutral to Ferrothorn because of its steel typing. So I end up losing that matchup. It was a tough one, but you know what? I went up against a real high level opponent. I appreciated it. I made a silly mistake. I know better. Don't take energy for granted. So those were some solid matches. I definitely wish I could redo that 5th one. Hopefully I'll meet that trainer somewhere down the line, and hopefully they're running the same team. I would like to play it out properly to see if I actually have any potential in winning that matchup. But if Ferrothorn becomes that much more meta and becomes that much more of an issue for my team, I'm definitely going to have to adjust my Mudboy strat, which makes me very sad inside, but you gotta do what you gotta do to be successful. I hope you guys enjoyed those battles. I hope that even though I'm still running Mudboys, that I'm still able to offer you guys valuable content, especially when I talk about things like switch timers and I talk about the mistake like I made in the last matchup where I overcharged when I should have been paying better attention to my opponent's energy levels, which is why that Sableye ended up beating out my Swampert. But overall, I hope you liked it. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate all the support, and I will see you guys in the next video.